So today I'm going to have a little bit of talk with you about why I've hinted at that I was going to do this at some point about why I don't do art galleries, why you never see me like some of my contemporaries having exhibitions and so forth. And there's a bunch of reasons. One of them is the main reason in the past has always been is because it's just a thing that's hard to get into, especially the medium I'm in and the town I live in, anywhere nearby. Because if you physically sending your stuff, you have to actually be able to get there. So there's no point in me like approaching a gallery. Not well, little point in me approaching a gallery in New York and sending like about 10 or 20 of my images over because that's prohibitively expensive. And anywhere nearby, there's usually just not really that much interest in the kind of artwork I do. There's a lot of artists, and a lot of the places they'll either go for their very extreme idea of modern art, or they'll go for like traditional landscapes and still life so forth. And there's not much in between. And it's like I said, it's a small. I live in a small-ish town which only has one real formal art gallery that's run by a council. There may be a few little things that prop up every now and then, but only one permanent art gallery. Now, I've only taken part in two in my life, and they were both early on in my career. I did nearly do one recently for an auction of a piece after Palestine, but to aid people in Palestine, but that kind of fell through-ish a bit. So, but in the past, I had two little locally exhibitions. One was my very first thing. I very early on. I sent them a copy of gave them copy of a piece called "Seen from Space." It's for a Greenpeace exhibition, so it was one where I had some astronauts in space, and they could see from their spacewalk um, a nuclear. I sort of put in like a nuclear power plant and a mushroom cloud. So that's from the hypothesized theory. I don't think anyone's ever observed it, of the idea of a nuclear explosion being able to be seen from space. I've tried to look it up, but I've never really found a proper definitive answer as to whether that would be the case. Um, so, and then I later on did one in a where it was me and two other artists, and one had the very front part of the art of the exhibition. Cafe. This is a cafe in Coventry that's no longer there anymore. And it's so long ago I can't even remember what the place is called. And even though my friends and I used to hang around there a lot at that time, but yeah, the first it was set out into three different rooms. This place, and so it's because it was an art gallery and cafe. So they had two exhibition rooms at the front and the actual cafe part. And so the first two exhibition rooms were two other artists, and my work was in the cafe part. Now, some might see that as a bit of a demotion, but however, it meant that my work was being seen more constantly because obviously that's where the people were sitting around and having their food and drink, and then they would they would have to see that all the time. And they prompt more discussion, and that was one of the times. Not to my face, but I heard feedback about this where a piece of mine, Religious Nuts, she claimed she thought of it as an attack on the Jesus Army because it's either Jesus or one of the disciples, I can't remember which, had like corporal stripes on them or something. And that never occurred to me at the time. It was just something I thought would be fun. That was at the times, and I still do it now sometimes, where I just find stuff and I find it fun to put the put something on there. And it started off, well, I use this picture of the Last Supper, and then I saw some pictures of nuts, so I put them in their hands and so forth, and on the table, and that's where the thing title came from, because you do hear the term religious nuts a lot, so that's where that came from. Oh, by the way, I apologise if the images you see here aren't actually what I'm talking about. I don't actually haven't planned this out well enough to actually um, do that, because any references to any actual pieces, they're just gonna like the religious nuts one just came on top of my head, so I'm just scrolling through a gallery on my laptop just for something for you to look at while I'm talking, and I just totally forgotten I was going to do that until now. So I apologise for that. But yeah, that was good. That was good fun. That was good. But then it's just I tried to get people interested. And this is a time of internet and so forth. Was becoming a lot more popular. So I was emailing people. There was just no real interest. So, and with the whole thing of it being the this cafe one was around just around at the time of the turn of the millennium. So that's how long ago it was. It was nearly a quarter of a century, if you can believe that. If you can believe that, I've been doing this for nearly 30 years now. But so the internet, but as I said about the internet was rising then, and that just basically provided a better solution for me, especially since what with me being autistic and quite socially awkward. So it solved the thing of me not being very good at meeting and greeting people and talking about my artwork. Because the reason why I'm an artist and not a writer, as you can tell by any of you who listen to any of my videos, is I'm not the best at talking. I waffle and mumble a lot or so forth, and I just go into tangents, which is not really usually an autistic trait, but it's not being. I'm more visual, so sometimes that is one of our traits where it's not very. We're very creative, but sometimes very very precise and very. Uh, we're not very. We're very literal. It's the best way to put it. Um, which is why I've never, again, why I find it hard to do like that artistic talking. This is why I really struggle with things like artist bios, because I just can't do and don't do art talk. It's just not in me. It's just so well I made it. It's there. You find what you want in it, but I'm not going to say that uh, my my palette is about this or about determines this. I like strong, bold colours. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not me. For me, what you see is what you see, and sometimes yes, there will be things that I put into it, but there's a lot of things that you might see in it. But I'm not going to pretend that it's any that my intentions for it was any more than what it is at the time. My how I might interpret them minutes or years later are another matter. Um, this is why I think I like this kind of artwork so much. It is a bit more. It is what it is. This is why I'm one of the attractions for me about punk rock is the fact that it's at the very least the idea of it was thoroughly unpretentious. It was until Malcolm McLaren got involved anyway. But that's another matter. But yeah, like I say, the internet provides better solutions. It's a lot of pressure. It has that barrier where I can put it up and be distant. But it's a way of looking at it as the entire world can visit my gallery. I'm not restricted to the people who live in that particular town, because obviously there's nobody's going to travel to see my work either. So so it's a matter of I can reach and have reached. I've people all over the world. I've had someone ask me if they can write about my artwork for part of their school project. So this is someone in Vietnam. I've had someone from Macedonia asking my permission to use a piece of my artwork as a tattoo. I mean, it was a bit about the band that used that as a cover, but still. Um, so, and I have people that watch these and all over the world. I've seen Russia, in India, America, mostly America and the UK, funnily enough. But I've had people contact me from all over the world, and that is because I haven't I've considered um, an internet browser or a website in particular to be my exhibition. Um, so that's given me a lot of freedom, and it also means that the downside to that is people can't see your actual piece of artwork. So there is obviously a great interest in that, especially for people who create this kind of artwork, to actually have a look at, because it's one thing I've been to. Winston Smith did an exhibition in London when he released his third book, and he invited me to go along, and I went there, And it's one thing me seeing these pictures in the books, and it's another me actually seeing them there in front of me and talking to him about them. So that's another thing. But so I can talk about this. It's just, and I can talk about this to an extent, but there is a point where I'm just going to start to close off, and so I don't have to worry about that. And also, it's just I like the reach of a literal global reach of potentially anyway. People just have to be able to know where it is to find it. But that would be the same for like a bricks and mortar exhibition as well. Um, but another big factor of me not wanting to do exhibitions is I'm very precious about my originals, incredibly precious, in fact, and I don't like relinquishing them at all. So um, the ones that I got involved with, there were the Greenpeace one was definitely a copy, and most of the ones that I had put in there, I think all of them maybe, I had they were prints. I do not like giving up my originals at all because if something were to happen to them, that's it gone. And I've had that happen with enough digital pieces to be scared of that. So that's why I where I can. I mean, I haven't scanned everything I've done, and it's something I mean to do, but scan them in and keep multiple copies of them. And it's the same way I would never for a while now what money. Well, for the most part, I mean, nobody's offered, so it's a question I could answer again if somebody does offer. But I'm a bit like G Vorcher in this way, where she has been offered quite spectacular amounts of money for her originals of her artwork, and she's refused every single time because they're precious to her. And it's the same with my artwork. There's only one person other than myself who has ever received um, an original of mine, and that is when we were younger, and it was a friend of mine. Well, she's my wife now; she's my girlfriend then, but an old friend of hers there, and it was made as a birthday present. And that is the only other time I've ever given or relinquished a piece of original. And that piece, I could detach myself a bit from the ownership of it because I knew because from the word go it was never going to be mine. So if anybody here wants to, and this is a nice little time to promote my Patreon, there are a couple of tiers where you can get a piece of an original piece of my artwork and hand signed every month, and the size will depend on the amount you pledge. But that's the only time I'm gonna do that, and I'm obviously I'm gonna scan them in and keep my own copies of them, digital copies of them, of course. But you I can have some kind of detachment from that because because like I said, it was never going to be mine. So it's just like me basically doing a commission. It's not because something I'm obviously gonna try always try to do a good job, something I might like, something I might be happy with, but my it's I don't have that, won't have that ownership. So like any of the pieces you are seeing here, they're all ones that I've created, knowing for me. I mean, I've made some of these been made in the with the context of my making them um, as for content for this. Like for instance, this piece made as content. Um, However, it's still mine. So I'm not. I'm like I said, I'm not very good at giving any of this up. So in fact, pretty terrible at that. So those are the main reasons why I'm not doing. I don't do exhibitions. I mean, first, obviously, the major reason is because nobody wanted me, and other reasons can come from have stemmed from that. It's like a case of, well, I don't like I wouldn't want to do this and speak to people. No, I don't want to speak to people, but I wouldn't. I find it difficult to do this hobnobbing that goes along with a launch party. that kind of thing would have me in tatters on approaching it. And it's also, I just like I said, I don't like giving up my originals. I could send prints, high quality prints, but galleries generally don't want that. So anyway, so let me know what you think, whether what you think of my reasoning for that, and to completely contradict myself, if there was any exhibition, virtual exhibitions, online exhibitions, I can easily do that. And if anybody wants to use my work for that, that is, hit me up on that. There's usually contact information in my description, and you'll find it in my link tree, and that has all the merch links and socials. But let me know what you think, and like, share, and subscribe as always. And I mentioned about my Patreon. There's a thanks button at the bottom, usually at the bottom of this video. So send me whatever you might like. If you do. But like I said, the free version of helping me is liking, sharing, and subscribing. And I hope you like this talk, and I shall speak to you soon. Thank you.